And I heard your husband Jordan describe your illness as 100% fatal of what you understood of it at the time. Do you think that's a fair assessment of what you were facing?
Well, I would say when we went to the doctor's office, when he first realized that I had a much more severe cancer than he had first diagnosed, his hands were shaking in the office when he was handing me papers. He didn't want to tell me what what it was they found out. And he told me that I had 10 months to live, and I was signing papers for the next surgery, which they were trying to organize as fast as they could. But then I went to MD Anderson Cancer Hospital in Houston, and I asked them, and they said, no, there's no treatment. You can have surgery, but there's no chemo, there's no radiation, uh, there's no kind of cancer treatment, because everybody who has this is diagnosed posthumously. They die, and then we find out what they died from. And then I went to San Francisco, University of San Francisco Oncology Department. I talked to them. They said, no, there's no treatment for this type of cancer. Uh, Go have surgery, and one surgeon is as good as another surgeon, so just go home and have surgery. And so when I went home, my only hope was that the surgeon would take out the cancer and the cancer wouldn't grow again. And now it's been 4 years and it hasn't come back. So praise God for that, because and praise everyone who helped me. I had so much help. My mother-in-law came a lot of the time. She was with me. My sister-in-law, she's a nurse, she came. My sister, she's a nurse, she came. My husband was there. My kids were there. My friends, I had friends that were there at my home, were there at my hospital bed. I mean, everybody was really so supportive, and I was very grateful. It was an amazing it was an amazing experience. Even though I had lost 35 pounds, I was skin and bone. My cheeks were hollow, my breasts were gone, my bum was gone. You could see my shoulder blades sticking out my back and all my ribs. Like, I had lost so much weight because I was eating, and there was a leak in my lymph system. So the nutrition was leaking out into the interstitial space, filled up my feet, and then it filled up my legs. And then they put uh, like a siphon in my interstitial space in my abdomen and drained off the liquid, but none of it was going to my cells. So I was just wasting away and getting weaker and weaker and weaker and weaker. By the time I was put in the hospital, I I wouldn't say I was completely conscious, because I had lost so much nutrition by then. I was very malnourished, and they didn't find the leak. So not eating any fat or anything, it didn't help. It didn't help. Sometimes it helps people if they kind of give the lymph system a rest. They recover, but I didn't recover. And then in the hospital, they just put food right straight to my heart. And then I woke up 3 days later, because my cells actually were nourished at that point for the first time in, I don't know, months. And, and that's when my friend came with the rosary. So I was in the hospital already. I may have, when I was in that video, that rosary video, I think I said that it was the rosary. And so it was the prayers, all the prayers people sent, the rosary that sustained me. That's what sustained me during the whole ordeal. But it really was the moment with my son that really brought faith to me in a profound way. Because my friend came to the hospital once I was in the hospital, and awake. That's when she introduced me to the rosary, and she came every day for 5 weeks.
When you are in a situation as severe as that and you're receiving this dreadful news, or you going into surgery knowing that everything rests on this one surgery, what sort of conversations are going on inside your head internally? Because I'm lucky enough to have never had to have those internal conversations at this point in my life, and I can't begin to imagine what those conversations are like. Could you maybe explain what that felt like at the time when you're facing something so severe and scary?
Well, the night before the final surgery, we were sitting in our apartment watching a television program, and I could tell that neither of us were really in the room. We were so nervous that we weren't even sitting on the couch. We were scared beyond belief. We were scared beyond belief. And when I was in my 20s, I had been learning massage therapy at the same time that I suffered another health scare. I had my ovary on the left side had a cyst on it, and they didn't know what it was. They told me it was cancer. And this massage therapist that I was working with, I was very nervous because I was going to have to go in to surgery and find out what it was. It wasn't cancer after all. But uh, the day of this meeting with my massage therapist, I was quite nervous about it. And so he sat at my feet, and he just moved his hands in a rhythmical manner up and down the arch of my foot. And he had me imagine that I had a white light that came in the top of my head. And I imagined it as a string of light that came into my body. And I took it down to my ovary, and I wrapped the string around my ovary, and I asked it to not be afraid and to tell me what was going on. And over about 2 hours, I felt this energy, or like a profound change. And I felt something leave my side on the other side. Energetically, I felt this, and I thought, wow, that was, I guess whatever was there seems to have gone out of me. Uh, and when I went to have the surgery, they said what they thought was the size of a grapefruit was the size of a golf ball. So energetically, it seemed like whatever was there and bothering me went back to the universe. And so I thought the night before this surgery, I should do the same meditation. So I had Jordan sit at my feet and do the same rocking motion on my arches. And I took all the prayers that people had sent me, lots of prayers, because we'd been on tour for a whole year. And my sister-in-law had written these prayers in colored ink and put them on the wall of my hospital. It was, and so I took all these prayers, and I lined people up on the beach in my imagination, and I breathed in all their prayers, and I brought that love down to my kidney, and I asked those cells what they were doing and not to be afraid and to tell me what was going on. But when I looked at them, they were the cells, it was as if they had turned away. They had turned away, and they were having nothing to do with me. And I thought, oh, cancer is, whatever it is too much for me, and probably too much for anyone. And so I think it's best if I give this back to the universe. And so then the next image was smoke rising from me, not really smoke, but kind of darkness rising up and going back to the universe. And then I said to Jordan, hey, it's time to go to bed. It seems to be gone. let's just go to bed. And we were very calm then. We were very calm and grounded. And the next morning we got up and we were very calm and very grounded. And we went to the hospital and I talked to the surgeons and I told them what I did the night before to bring myself back and calm myself down. And they said they used the same intention and went in, and everything came out without. Sometimes, cancer, it can, I guess, it can, it can make it difficult to get it out of the body without harming anything else. And so the spleen is very close to the kidneys, and it it wasn't part of the problem. It just lifted out with no trouble at all. So they were quite amazed at how easily everything came out. Unfortunately, there was a complication later that I nearly died from again, but they got all the cancer out in that day. And they said that what I told them about my intention of, I guess, what was my intention? My intention was to realize that this was not something that I was in control of, that it was bigger than me, and that it wasn't anything that I felt like I needed to hold on to. It was something that I could give back to the universe. And so I guess they were just giving it back to the universe. And they did. They did. Mm-hmm. It's